Can AI replace concept artists? Let's put it to the test. The rise of AI-generated content is taking over the art industry, and many concept artists are wondering if their jobs are at risk. But can AI truly replace the heart and soul of storytelling that concept art brings to the table? Today, our team is putting AI to the test to see if it can create a character concept for a game that is as functional and emotionally compelling as what a human artist can create. We start by establishing the story of our character. Dr. Amanita is a mycologist who is passionate about studying fungi as living organisms with distinct personalities and attributes. She has developed a reputation for her unconventional methods and controversial beliefs, which include her use of fungi to rejuvenate her body cells. Her most notable achievement is her ability to transform fungi into humanoid forms with human-like behavior and personalities. She regards her creations as her children and has grown emotionally attached to them. To prevent her creations from being hostile towards her, she infected herself with a fluid containing self-regenerative blue fungus. However, the experiment was not entirely successful, as she now relies on constantly feeding herself the fluid to survive and produces toxic substances from her body, which were the same toxins she used to poison her team that conducted tests on her children. To minimize the release of toxins and constantly feed her body with the fluid, she created a suit using her knowledge of fungi. This suit also contained the same fungi she used to infect herself. Despite her controversial methods and beliefs, Dr. Amanita is unwavering in her pursuit of knowledge and defends her findings at all costs. Her establishment discovered her involvement in the disappearance of her team, but they could not afford to arrest her. Due to her status as an important figure in the industry, she ultimately signed a deal with the establishment to protect her children in exchange for providing medicine. This incident, however, has led to her being closely monitored within her lab and restricted from doing anything considered dangerous or progressive. She aims to one day gain control over the leaders of the establishment and rule over the field of biotechnology. So after that, we then moved on to the character design process, starting with the silhouette. After going through a range of silhouettes, we then chose this one, as we feel that it highlights her passion for the fungi the most. We then moved on to doing the outfits, and with each design, we carefully considered the functionality of it, as it was important for us to understand how we want her to be able to feed herself with this suit, as well as the convenience of it, and if it will look comfortable or not. Eventually, we went with this design. Once that was done, we moved on to the line art. This is where we fully got to showcase the emotion and determination to her work, as well as highlighting the key themes of her archetype. Moving on to the grayscale. For this, we made sure to establish values with darker tones to hint at the character's seriousness and give a sense of mystery to her, as well as making her look more dangerous and ominous, as well as giving elements of low lighting and more shadows to emphasize this, whilst overall maintaining the sharp shape language of the character. Next, it was time for the colors. We decided on a monochromatic palette quite early on in the design phase, consisting of darker blues to hint the character's calmness, wisdom, and loyalty to her creations, as well as a bright blue for the mushrooms around, to imply the heavy impact that they had in her story, and bright blue eyes to give her a more striking appearance. We were confident in giving the character a mask, although for quite opposite reasons that some may expect. The function of the mask is for her to breathe in the gases rather than infecting herself with them constantly. However, we did implement this feature in her leg. It was important for us to display this, to show the urgency and how her life depends on having this attached to her. Despite the character wearing a mask, it was still important for us to have an understanding of how we want the character to look like. Therefore, beforehand, we did a range of portrait sketches to how we would imagine the character looking under the mask, and this was the one that we were most happy about. After adding the final details and lighting, this is how it turned out. Now it's the AI's turn. So for this, we had to input a prompt that most resonates with the character's story. During this process, it was quite hard for the AI to generate us concept art with accurate proportions of the character. But eventually, we got some results. So here they are. These were the 3 best generations we got, that we felt resonate closest with the character's story. However, by looking at them, it's still quite hard to tell who they are, as it got rid of the main element of them being a scientist, but the suits of the characters are quite nice. But you can see some resemblance of the mushrooms. The hairstyles generated also kind of makes her look like a superhero rather than a mad scientist. And for some reason, the AI had some issues generating hands. But we get the main idea of the concept. But if we compare it to our concept art, it looks pretty bland, emotionless, and lacks depth. As in the characters, you can see there's no poses, no stance, and no expression for each of the characters, which ultimately takes away all the characters' personality. And overall, the design doesn't really communicate anything to us, and doesn't include any of the functions of a suit either. It just looks like some cool outfits. So, with so much lacking from the concept art, do we really think it can replace concept artists? Well, no. However, we think that it might be suitable for background characters. Or maybe for inspiration or reference. While AI cannot replace concept artists as a whole, we think it will get rid of a lot of mediocrity in the industry, like rushed designs and ones that are not well thought out. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed watching this video, make sure to subscribe.